Today we celebrate one of the great saints in the church. Not that all saints are not great, but Saint Teresa of Avila was someone who is a doctor of the church. She's well known. She's spread a lot of Carmelite spirituality through the church and just has given so much to the church. But St. Teresa was not always a devout sister. She entered the convent, I think she was 20 years old, and she lived a mediocre life, even in the convent. She spent much of her time socializing, receiving people from outside, and she didn't really give herself over to her vocation and to God, ultimately over to prayer. But when she was 39, she had an experience where she saw a statue of Jesus beaten, scourged, bloody, and she saw the look of Jesus and how he looked at her from that statue. It wasn't a look of condemnation, but it was a look of love, a gaze of love. And when her gaze met the gaze of Christ, she couldn't handle it anymore. She broke down crying, and she wept and promised that she would give herself completely to God. That look, that gaze of love was what transformed her. After that, she gave herself over to a life of prayer. In fact, God, Jesus himself, showed her in a vision her place in hell if she were to have continued the path that she was on. And so she gave herself to a life of prayer, something that she hadn't really done up to that point, because she, under the pretext of false humility, she says she wasn't worthy, that she wasn't good enough, and that was, she would later describe as a lie from the devil. So she would always talk about how no matter how advanced someone is in the spiritual life, they should never leave the humanity of Christ. They should never stop meditating on the humanity of Christ. Brothers and sisters, that should be something so important in our lives. She said that for someone who doesn't spend time in mental prayer, someone who doesn't meditate and spend time in prayer with God in silence, they don't need devils to throw them in hell. They themselves throw themselves into hell. Today we ask her intercession that we too understand the importance of prayer, that we truly give ourselves, our whole lives to God, heart and soul in prayer, so that we can experience that same intimacy that St. Teresa of Avila had.